lineup with Scott Purrier, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on your home for the St. Louis Cardinals. 102.1 The One.
And we welcome you back to the starting lineup, and thank you very much for joining us, Ned Reynolds, along with
Scott Purrier and Art Haynes. Art, you there with us?
Yeah,
okay.
and Art Haynes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you there. Did you hear him, Ned?
I did not, no.
You did not,
I
no.
had my mic off.
Oh, well, Art, come on now. You've done this before. Speaking of people that have done it before, is she not the best, I guess, most prepared interview subject maybe since Molly Carter in terms of putting a microphone in front of her and saying the right things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I started to ask her if she had thought about any kind of a career in media.
Yeah, that should be great, wouldn't she? Because she just seems to know what to say and when to say it.
And although she is not with the program, not making reference to Kamen, but the Fauntleroy girl.
Yeah.
The Fauntleroy.
Yeah.
Very, very good at that, too.
You know, and of course, Molly's the queen of the mic. You know, and we've been trying to reach out and get her on. We're going to have her on soon. Talked to her a little bit yesterday, and this portal shopping season is so pivotal to all of them right now. And you know, when you've got an entire Tennessee team that goes in the portal and probably an entire Virginia team, you know, and these coaching changes, Georgia with Coach Abel even probably has kids in there. For somebody like Molly that, you know, this is year 2 and she kind of hit the ground running last year. It was later when she got the job. This is probably her first true shopping season. And that's where we are now, isn't it, Art? You better go shopping.
You have to all the time.
Yeah.
Be aware of who's in the portal and, you know, be proactive about it. You have to be.
She did say that you would be surprised at some of the people that are reaching out to her now in terms of their national stature at Arizona State, you know, based on what they did this year, winning 24 games after winning 10 the year before. And so these kids go into it now kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to contact these 5 schools and see if there's an interest. And that's how Michigan won a national championship earlier this week.
I'll tell you where there will be interest, and that's at Virginia, where everybody's leaving.
Yeah, and Tennessee.
Tennessee.
I mean, you know, you kind of feel sorry for Kim Caldwell there. But then you also realize that there's probably a reason they all went in, too.
That's exactly what it is.
You know, and last I saw, it was either 1 or 0 returning players for the Lady Vols. And
wow.
I don't know how you recover from that, because you better find 10 that you know can play, because you're going to have injuries to them.
The Who's is what they call them at University of Virginia. They lost 8 of their 10 players. 2 of them decided to stay. But that's a mass exodus, right?
Well, and I saw on I think CBS Sportsline this morning that Texas lost 7 that could come back. So
and that's a good team.
Yeah, when you're Texas and you can afford to keep just about anybody you want to keep, and 7 leave, boy, something's got to be done. But I don't know what you can do that can circumvent the legal side of it that you're going to face the first time you deny somebody.
It can't be Vic Schaefer, because he's an outstanding coach and one of the very best ever. So I would have to think there are probably some other mitigating forces.
Art, are you shocked, and it may be being Kamen, but that nobody contacted her, you know, in this world? I think there's a little more decorum on the women's side of it as opposed to the men's.
She mentioned the fact that she was not in the transfer portal, and I would assume many of those coaches just look at that and make their decisions.
Well, on the women's side, yes. On the guys' side, it doesn't matter to those coaches, because, I mean, like Pete Golding at Ole Miss, the whole deal with the kid that had returned to or had gone to Clemson and enrolled. I mean, Art, are you kind of surprised that nobody reached out?
I am. Very much so. Now, I thought that given her close ties here and her family and all, that it would take quite a bit to dislodge her, but I am surprised that somebody didn't, through back channels at least, assess her interest.
Well, and I've always said this, that I think when it comes to making decisions and being rational, that women are smarter than guys, especially at the athletic level. You know, I mean, you don't see college girls saying, well, I'm going to go there for an extra $25,000. I mean, Kamen, you know, realizes the fan base that's here to see her play from just down the street in Republic, but also her legacy as a Lady Bear. If she were to leave for her final year, I mean, got to admit, that would have tarnished it a little bit, wouldn't it?
Well, exactly. I mean, look, Kyle Weems could have gone to Kansas, but he stayed. And, he's one of the all-time greats at Missouri State. Isaiah Mosley's legacy will be forever tarnished. If he'd stayed one more year, he might have been the all-time leading scorer. But his career devolved after he left. So, I don't know whether kids think about that. Maybe 20 years from now they will. But, it's. I agree with you, Scott, that I think women are a little bit more less transactional than guys.
That's a good way to put it. I was trying to find the right word. That's a good way to say it. And with her, I think it's the way you're raised too. Her parents and they're kind of one of those you started this, you finish it type deals. And she comes back after a 4-year career at Missouri State. The next 40 years, she brings her kids back and her grandkids. And there's mama, because that jersey will go up at some point, I would think. In that arena there.
And there's also the geographic home atmosphere here at Republic, and moms from Marshfield, and come on, that does have I think a very significant effect on how kids think.
I thought it was interesting too that when you ask the difference about when you play at Texas, because you're technically at the same level, but you're not. And we saw that, and when she said the 6'3" girl guarding her, that gives you an idea just the difference physically in between those levels.
And Scott, now you're talking about that and making a reference to Texas. There are 3 other teams in that Final Four, and the difference, the disparity is massive.
Oh, yeah.
Because all the other schools fall in the same category.
There's about 7 or 8 schools that are like those ones probably that are at the Final Four. And then there's
you think there are that many?
Well, because LSU is that way, and they didn't make the Final Four. Who else, Art? Iowa's kind of borderline on that.
Yeah, they got knocked out by Virginia.
But some of those schools that just from a physical stature, you see a difference. And then, then you kind of go to the Molly Millers in Arizona State. They're trying to get those 6'3" guards and people like that because there's only so many of them out there.
They're just not there.
And then there's Missouri State and that level that they're really good, but physically it's a mountain to climb, is it not, Art?
Oh, sure it is. Yeah, it is when you're competing against those schools with those resources. You just have to do the best you can in recruiting. And, it's primarily, now this year they had some portal kids, and I'm sure they'll continue to, but they have traditionally developed players from their freshman year on.
And now, with the movement that's going on there with Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, if you find a kid that just wants to play basketball, and for a lot of those kids, it's the allure of, hey, if I go there, I might be big fish in small pond, and where they came from a bench at one of those other places, you might fall into one of those 6'1" guards that just wants to play, and especially on the women's side, because on the guys' side, the first question out of a lot of mouths is, what are you going to pay me? What can I make? I think just the girls are probably a little more level-headed on that.
Well, perhaps that's the case. I think and I agree with you guys that the greater transfer portal circumstance is going to be with the males as opposed to females. But then there are probably that many more good basketball male players than there are female. It still is catching on, the game. It's relatively new. Do you agree with that?
Let me say about Coach Mox and the circumstances of her departure from Virginia. That's going to be tough for her going forward.
Oh, yeah.
But, pretty much a mutiny there that forced her out from her own players.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an issue going forward.
Is that one of those things where she just pretty much is going to have to lay low for 2 or 3 years and stay out of the coaching thing and then resurface and try to make it sound like I learned from that and that was an isolated incident, and then try to start back at a mid-major or somewhere again, probably.
Yeah, I think that's what you'll have to do. Now, you can't stay out too long or, people will forget about you in your old news. But, I think she's going to have to go to a less high-profile place to start her way back.
Or go back and be a top assistant somewhere, too,
exactly.
at the D1 level, where it's not necessarily her program, so she can kind of see how things are done. I didn't know all that, any of the details, because, again, I wasn't really in the media then. But, it's going to be tough for her to bounce back, and she's only got one way to go, but up.
And when you look how it happened, too, here they go through the NCAA, and on a Sunday, here comes the word out that they just gotten through playing that everybody's leaving. You have to know something is Something is really off track at that school, and obviously she was the catalyst behind it. And she'll have difficulty getting right back into the scheme of things.
Arthur, Anthony Kay last night. Somebody named Davis Martin tonight. If the Royals drop 2 games in a row to those guys, are you going to have to make a trip to Kansas City for a motivational speech tomorrow? You think?
I mean, who are these guys?
I
thought that matchup, and Lugo was great again. He always is. Pitched into the 7th inning and allowed 2 runs as it turned out, but he pitched great. But when you score 0, you're not going to win. I mean, I think they're pressing now, and it's becoming an issue. I mean, we're just 13 games in, but they need to start hitting the ball.
Art, Anthony Kay is really a non-entity. Here's a 31-year-old guy who's been around, pitched in Japan and so forth. Do you suppose the fact that there wasn't really a book on him affected the Royals? Is that early in the season? Is that a problem?
Well, maybe, but, they got 1 hit against Cleveland on Tuesday. Yeah. So, it's I think more the Royals hitting than the pitching they're running into.
Any questions about this lineup, or is it just a collective whole bunch of guys that are cold right now and need to get untracked?
It's a whole bunch of guys that are cold, really. Kyle Isbell's been their best hitter. He's done fine, but other than that, it's been kind of slim. Not gotten anything out of Lane Thomas, a little bit out of Isaac Collins, but it's. Bobby's getting singles. He got a double finally the other day, but he had 2 hits last night. So, he's hitting. But Mikhail Garcia is a great hitter. And Pasquantino hit 32 home runs last year. You can't help but think they're going to come around. But right now they're just in a collective slump. Needs to be a bat-burning bonfire or something.
Yeah, and Jack Cagliano's still looking for that first RBI and first home run.
Right.
And as you said, 13 games in. At what point do you start to kind of worry about him? Is it the 1st of May if this continues? They won't send him back down, will they, or will they?
Well, I'd say give it till Memorial Day, and if he just appears to be lost, and I don't think we're there yet, but if that is the case, then they might send him back down.
Well, we've got the Red Rider waiting in the studio here for our next segment, so let's take a break, and we'll come back and visit with our friend Wyatt Wheeler.
Listening to the starting lineup, back in a second.
You're listening to the starting lineup with Scott Puryear, Ned Reynolds, and Art Haynes on 102.1 The One.